Joining me on the line now is YouTube gardener known as ruGrew, and it's Ruth Vercoe. Good evening to you, Ruth.
Good evening, good evening.
Your last segment with us was really popular. We got a huge amount of people interested in it. Did you? Were you quite pleased with how that went?
Yeah, I was. Shared it with lots of my friends and family, so people who know you're always very interested, but also gardening, everyone's got some interest in it somewhere along the line, so it's something really cool to be able to share.
Well, your genuine enthusiasm and growing knowledge in the subject is great to see and to hear. So, what's it's been a while since we spoke to you, maybe about 6 weeks. What's been happening in the garden, in your garden?
In my garden, there's been lots of different little things. I've just done every month I'm doing a video to show kind of the progress and what's been happening. And as I was filming the August one, at first I was thinking, oh, not much has happened. But then it was really cool comparing it back to the July one and the June one, and just realizing it's cold, it's winter, and that's okay. And things are happening, things are growing. So we've just started 4 new garden beds and have 2 existing ones with other things around the place. So we've got things growing and more things that are being planted ready for the kind of spring, summer season.
So, what's growing at the moment?
Last time I talked a lot about kale. So yes, our kale is growing. We've also had garlic popping up, which is really exciting. And we have got our peas, which are going really well, just sprouting. We did have a big problem with the birds getting to them, but they're now covered in bird netting. So they've got their leaves back. And we've also got beetroot and our Brussels sprouts, and then just our strawberry plants and some of our lettuces and different things that are getting ready for the kind of spring, summer season.
I see that your covers, those tubing things for holding the net and the frost cloth. There's a bit of a new and improved design there, and of course, it will have been well tested by the storms we've had recently.
Yes. There was wins and losses with those. The 2 of the boxes we made with some of the thicker irrigation plastic tubing, and they've stood up really well, which is in the photo. But there's 2 ones at the back that we used thinner tubing just because it was what was around home, and they have flopped. So what we're needing to do is get some more thicker tubing, or maybe some metal to put inside them, just so we can have them stand up further. But they've worked wonders for not keeping the birds off them, keeping cats out of the garden as well, so we're not having to deal with cat poo, and then being able to put the frost cloth on top, which has been great for the last had.
Does having a slightly raised gardens, because I can see from the images that yours aren't really high, they're probably only about 12 inches high or something.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and just having it on the flat ground? I imagine having it defined gives you a lot more control and also access pathways around your growing area.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of schools of thought about whether you should raise them or put them straight in the ground. I think here in Canterbury we're quite lucky. Our ground is pretty good. And so putting them straight in the ground is completely fine. You just need to do some good digging over first. I like them because I just like the aesthetic of it, but also because we also have grass in our backyard, which lots of balls are kicked around and different games are played. And so just having them raised that little bit just saves them from balls running straight through them or things getting thrown onto them as easily.
So do you have youngsters at home, young boys or something? Or?
We don't have our own children, not yet, but we've got lots of friends with children, and we've got some family with little kids as well. And, we've got adults that kick around balls too. So
now
we make the most of it.
You've mentioned cats quite a few times.
Yeah.
In what way are they a nuisance in the garden?
They have a garden as their best place to go toilet. And so you might be in the garden having a good dig up, and then you find a poo, which isn't very nice, especially if you don't have any gloves on. So just kind of limiting their toilet space is always nice when you're in the garden.
Now, the infrastructure that you've put into your garden, obviously it's going to last quite a long time. I mean, the wood's the proper tannalised wood, it's treated. And
well, it's not treated, it's actually macrocarpa. So
is it not treated? So it's a hardwood, is it?
Yeah, we chose to go with macrocarpa because that's probably the most expensive part of our garden, was choosing to go with that wood. If you don't want to do raised gardens, straight in the ground makes it a lot easier. I chose not to use tannalised wood because we're growing our veggies right next to it. We don't want anything leaching out of the wood into what we're then eating.
I was going to ask you about that, actually. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so macrocarpa for us was the way to go.
So how much have you spent? Because I mean, obviously your whole ethos is about growing food cheaply, but you do need to
Yeah,
spend some money up front. So how much has
yeah.
it cost you so far?
For the wood, oh, it was probably about $200.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, I think we got one or two scoops of dirt from Garden Box, which was around the corner from us, which was about $20 a scoop. And otherwise, it's been mostly free, just different soil we've had around the place. Previously, we've seen on either Trade Me or Facebook Marketplace, and when people have had topsoil, just to fill up some of the sections. And seeds have been seeds that I've either saved from last year or bought in packets, and then a few seedlings I've bought I've tried to get when they've been reduced to clear, because it's always cheaper to do that. But yeah, ideally growing from seed is definitely the best way to go, because you can get 100 seeds for $3 instead of 6 seeds for $3.
So are you seed raising directly into the ground, or are you doing it indoors or under cover?
A bit of both. Depends on what it is. Currently, kind of the beetroots and the carrots can go straight outside. Um, but starting off indoors is what I prefer, well, for things like the kale and the lettuce, and soon it'll be time to start some tomatoes and all that as well. We don't have a greenhouse, and because we don't have kids, we can easily just kind of put it in a corner of our kitchen where there's nice sun and they can grow there. But ideally, we'll be making a greenhouse at some point, so we don't have the risk of them getting kicked over or different little fingers getting into them.
Now you told us what you're growing, what's growing at the moment. What are you actually eating out of the garden presently?
The main things we're eating currently would be the kale and the beetroot and the beetroot leaves. We have some broccoletti, but that one we didn't like as much as the broccolini, so we're kind of only using that in smaller doses, but I've let that mainly go to flour for the random little bees.
Tell me about eating the beetroot leaves.
You can just eat them the same as silver beet or spinach. You just have to make sure that you don't take too many of the leaves, because it's the leaves which also help the beetroot tubers to grow. But we've got quite a few beetroots growing, so you just grab one or two leaves and you're grabbing the other leaves, and it works out quite well.
So when will you be pulling the actual beetroot, the beetroot part out, the tuber out of the ground?
I've pulled a few already. They're kind of the baby beetroot size, and so just anytime we're doing a roast or wanting to grate it into a salad or put it into a smoothie, we can just go out and grab it as we need it, which is awesome.
Like kale, beetroot's valued as one of these superfoods, isn't it?
And so easy to grow, which is what I love about having your own garden, is once you've got things in there, winter's a very slow growing period, but especially as it's going to be coming into spring really soon and then summer, it's great just being able to go out and grab exactly what you need, so you don't end up having too much and it going off in the fridge. And then you go to the supermarket and you look at the price of something and you realize how much you've spent. You're like, man, this is awesome. I've saved so much money and I know exactly what chemicals have been on it, generally none. And it's fresh, which, you can't really get better than fresh.
It seems that you're growing kale with the same sort of ease that you might grow silver beet. Can you
Yes.
give us some idea of how you're eating the kale?
I also grow silver beet, but I just like the taste of kale more, which is why that keeps coming up. We put it in everything. Recently, we've put it in, what have we done? In different soups, when we've done different stews and curries. You can just have it straight as is, just with a bit of boiling water on, or you can microwave it or put it in a pot. So any way you do silver beet or spinach, you can use it in smoothies. Yeah, heaps of different ways.
Yeah, I've used it in soup a couple of times where you just mooly everything up in the end. It just
Yeah.
kind of liquidizes into the body of the soup, and of course it's really good for you. Hey, another great spot, Ruth Vercoe. Thank you very much for taking us in the garden. And
Thank you.
your name is ruGrew. That's RUGREW.
Yep, that's correct on YouTube.
That's your name on YouTube. So you can have a
Yeah.
look at all of Ruth's videos. How often do you put them up?
It depends on how busy my weekends are. I've been trying to do between one or two a week, but this weekend I've been away, so there won't really be much next week. Just realising that gardening keeps happening, but life keeps happening too.
It certainly does. Hey, Ruth, thank you very much, and have fun in the garden.
Thank you. See you later.
Cheers. Good night.
Bye.